Hello, and welcome to PTC Cast episode 31. Today, Chris and I talk about burnout and things you can do to avoid burnout or fix burnout or approach burnout. Because, man, this fitness, health, and wellness train has got to keep on going, and you got to be on it somehow.
Yes.
This podcast is brought to you by ProgressThroughChange.com, where you can get your 4 Easy Habits for Fat Loss guide. It's a PDF. It's a free download. We just ask for your email, and it takes 10 to 15 seconds to get, and it'll change your life. I'm sitting here confident, and I confidently can say you can lose your first 5 to 200 pounds on it, depending on who you are. So enjoy the show. You turned 24 years old yesterday, buddy.
Yes, I am a whole new person.
You're a whole
This
new
is
person.
the start of a whole new life.
24 years. What have you learned? If you had to say, yeah, in like one sentence, right? Like it doesn't have to be like something profound or anything, but what's like the first thing that comes to mind? I'm also trying to fix my mic here.
I learned that the most important thing to me is family.
Family?
Yeah.
You didn't learn that.
You've been knowing that. No, like I thought that, but and then like now I know it.
Sure.
Like 100%.
For sure, like zero doubt in your mind, yeah.
Yeah, like it got zeroed out.
Yeah. Well, I've always thought that too, man, because like, I don't know. I'm a pretty like business oriented. Like I like to work. I like to try to make myself better and everything. But the ultimate question at the end of the day is like, what's the point of any of it if you don't have anybody to share it with? You know.
Yeah.
You have all the money in the world. You could have all the success in the world. You could have 25-inch arms, but nobody cares if you don't have anybody to share it with.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I think that's a good one, man.
Hell yeah. And another thing is that nothing ever lasts.
Yeah.
Nothing ever lasts.
Yeah, it's weird how our lives really move through phases, man. That's really something that I've been mindful of a lot recently too. Like, just like in the gym, our life moves in phases. It's like sometimes you might have something that's a little bit more, maybe you're working 80 hours a week, or maybe you're working 20 hours a week and you got other things going on. You know what I mean? So it's interesting how our lives move in waves to me. But to get on topic, I'd like us to talk about burnout a little bit today, because you got here and the first thing you told me was
that I am done with like lifting.
You're not done with it. You're just getting sick
I'm not done with it.
Yeah.
I know that I have to stick with it, but like I just feel like I'm done with lifting. Like I don't want to do it anymore. Yeah. And again, like I think this goes with nothing ever lasts. So I'll have this feeling for a while, but then I'll get back to liking lifting again, and enjoying it, and then maybe I'll have specific goals when it comes to lifting again. But yeah, right now I don't know if it's burnout or if it's the fact that I tried out other things and I'm like, wait, this is way better than lifting, and but yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Okay, I got you. No, I mean I think that's totally normal. I know personally sometimes I go through my lifts or my exercises or workouts, whatever, and sometimes it definitely feels like more of a chore or a job than something that's, enjoyable. Yeah. And I would say like, coming off that powerlifting prep where you're basically doing the same 3 exercises for, 16 weeks plus a little bit else. Like burnout does not surprise me, man. I mean, I think that's totally normal. I also think burnout can come when we dedicate too much of our total like resources and time to one specific thing. Like I think it's kind of inevitable, because you're such a what's the word I'm looking for? You have a lot to you, man. Like whether it's art or your family or lifting or you're talking about doing dirt biking now and your job, and you know what I mean? Like you got a lot of things going on. So I feel like when your life becomes basically like 80 or 90% one thing that's like almost your identity, I think that's how burnout comes. Yeah, and I mean I don't know, like oops. I think there's something like great to, dedicating, 80% of your life to one thing. But yeah, I guess maybe. Sorry, I'm struggling with the mic.
No, you're good. Man. Maybe, some people, reach that burning out point, quicker than others. But I guess what, 5 years later after powerlifting.
All right, this is the last time I touch it. I'm sorry. I'm struggling today, dude. Like, okay, 5 years after powerlifting.
Or like 6 years later after powerlifting. Like, I don't know. I just realized just how mundane, I guess, is that the right word?
Yeah, sure.
How mundane, like, it is. When I was lifting or doing the leg day programmed, when I was doing squats, I was looking at the bar and I was like, how many times have I looked at the middle knurling of this bar and doing the exact same shit over and over again? And it was kind of like kind of feeling. And I still did it.
It turned into a chore.
Yeah.
Like in that moment, it was like,
yeah, in that moment, it was almost like a switch that flipped, and I was like, this is whack. And I've never really thought that about like lifting. Like, yeah, I've had moments where it felt, kind of mundane, but it was always for, a bigger purpose. But now, and maybe that's why also, like all those goals that I thought I had are kind of like out of the window. And I'm just like, what's the point of doing this shit? Like, yeah, it just, I don't know. That's just how it felt.
Yeah.
So
no, 100%. Well, it's interesting what you said about, once your goals kind of went out of the window, you kind of became bored of it. Because at the end of the day, man, like there's a lot to it as far as like the detail and the minutia of like technique and execution. But at the end of the day, like you're moving a bar from point A to point B 3 different ways.
And that's what it started to feel like.
You're benching it or you're deadlifting it. And eventually I think it reaches a point where it's like, you've powerlifted for what, like 8 years?
Yeah, about 8.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
it's 26.
I guess it just gets to one of those points where it's like you're doing the same thing over and over again. And I think that would be true with, if somebody's program was like dumbbell press, squats, and lunges, and they were doing dumbbell press, squats, and lunges like 3 times a week with like tons of volume and low, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that would be true with any exercise. Like, so it's not like we're sitting here dogging on the big 3, but I think it's just one of those things, man, where it's like, you've done it for so long, you dedicated so much of yourself to it, you did it at such a high level and threw away so many other things for it too, including your health sometimes, that it's like, as soon as you lose your goals, it's like, yeah, well, no shit, you're going to be kind of sick of it.
Yeah. And it was funny. The thing that actually felt good that day while working out were the things that I've never done that you programmed, like the lunges, the knees to chest, the side planks, the split squats.
Yeah.
Just the things that I haven't done for years.
Yeah.
It was like I had to rethink,
like
relearn those things. The lunges and the split squats. The split squats, when I got to those, I could barely move, bro. Like, I'm dead serious. And I was like,
those are brutal, man.
Yeah.
Those are brutal. Man. Those will sneak up on you.
Yeah. And then the side planks too, actually. I was just bitching out on the side planks. But, I did them, and
they're hard, man. Good. They're just out of your usual, out of your routine,
Yeah.
And so I really think, like, I don't want to speak for you, because obviously, if you need some time off the gym, then you need some time off the gym, you know. But I know for me personally, like, as soon as I feel that burnout, it's time for me to swap some exercises around.
Yes.
And maybe even swap like some, I'm going to use the word like style very lightly, but maybe I'll go from, doing just heavy straight sets to doing, supersets where I'll do 2 different exercises, rest, 2 different exercises, rest, you know what I mean? And so just try to find a different way to approach it. So that's
what I want to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Just more maybe like circuit style training, or, maybe a different rep range, or just different exercises you're not, super accustomed to, or, for me personally, I like to expose the hell out of myself. So I like to find the thing that I suck the most at and almost like base my programming around that. It's like, all right, well, I suck at whatever, rear delts. Well, then rear delts are going to be the focus of this next training block. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whatever that, as it could be as specific as rear delts, or, whatever, some specific muscle group or exercise or thing that you're like, I kind of suck at that. Like, and so then I try to make that make that the focus, just because I think it's one of those things where it's easier to stay hungry when you're in that beginner phase. I know a lot of people get complacent as soon as they hit that like intermediate, that kind of medium ground.
Because it's easy to coast.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's what I found with a lot of my clients, is it's like, as soon as I think they're not like excited about exercises anymore, and maybe excited is the wrong word, because obviously you're not going to be always like super fired up about like, high rep lunges or something like that. But as soon as it hits the point where it's like you're really dragging ass and you're almost like anxious about it, or you know what I mean? At that point, it's like there's no need to slam your head against the wall and do the same thing over and over again. Like, sure, there's better or worse exercises, but you look at it like tools in a tool belt, man. There's fucking 500 tools out there for one single job. So it's like you have a lot of options.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think the squat, bench, and deadlift is if I'm guessing, is the part that came with the burnout, man, because that's the same, like you said, how many times have you stared at that squat bar, put on the same exact 3 Days Grace song on your iPod, and then fucking, snorted in ammonia, got under that bar. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times have you done the same exact thing?
Yeah. And then if you start like questioning, why the hell you're doing this, there's no way you're going to get hype. And, the way that I lift, like I lift one way, all these years. And, that's also why I want to, change the style. But my way is like all in, all out, each set. and it's very taxing. And if you're not mentally there, then it just hurts. And then, you know, you half-ass it and you just have like all these doubts in your head. And yeah, it's almost like training is starting to become unfun.
Yeah.
Like it's not how it used to be anymore. And I don't like that, bro, because, you know, I need to have training in my life. You know, it helps with stress. It helps with, you know, the way that I look, the way that I feel about myself.
Oh, yeah.
And then just the, you know, putting in the effort into something physically feels really good. And if that, you know, gets taken out of my life, that would suck.
You can tell the difference.
Yeah. So, you know, and I'm already, you know, telling the difference. So I need to, you know, find a way to, you know, fix this.
Yeah. And figure out, okay, what's something you could do. And, you know, for me personally, depending on, you know, where you're at, I think either step one would be to take a step back and take some time off, or, you know, find a different goal. Like,
well, I guess
side plank is what you just said to me, right?
Yeah.
That you bitched out on. Well, shit, man, let's get to a point where you can do like a side plank on your palm with the top leg floating for 90 seconds on each side. Man. You know what I mean? So, and it's not like, I know it's not that simple, because sometimes it's just getting yourself into the gym. And so there's probably other conversations to be had about that too. But
thankfully, my gym's only like 2 minutes away.
Yeah. Okay. So that makes it a little bit easier. Yeah. No, man. It's funny you say that. There's even some days where I'm like, oh man, I can't get my lift in today, and it's like literally in my garage.
Yeah.
Like, you know. So I think we all have that feeling, and I don't think I definitely don't think like training, especially if it's challenging training, is always going to be like the number one thing you look forward to or are excited about. There will be days where, you know, you're hype and ready to get after it, but there's definitely also days where it does feel more like a chore, you know. But I think it's important you're able to do it. But, you know, if you're at the point where every single exercise or every single workout, you're like, oh, here we go, here we go, here we go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I also think it's important to not have like a negative relationship with training and movement,
I think that's not important. I mean, I think that is important too.
Yeah.
And I've never felt this way with training, so that's why I'm saying like it's new to me and it's weird feeling this way. And, you know, like, I think it was the 4th day on your program, I ended up not doing. I mean, that was also because of, you know, dirt bike riding, but also because I was just like, I don't want to go to the gym. You
just didn't want to drag yourself.
Yeah, man. Which I haven't done that shit in years, bro.
Yeah.
And like in years, you know, the only times where I would skip the gym is because you know, I feel broken from the last gym session. So yeah, it's really weird. I feel like I'm at a crossroads right now, and I need to make sure to go the right way. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think, you know, if you need some time off, there's really nothing wrong with that.
It also sucks though, because I have been getting like a lot of time off from training. You know, I was prepping for that powerlifting meet, and when it all started going wrong, like I was taking deload after deload, you know, week after week.
Yeah, dude, but you weren't away from it.
Yeah, true.
You were out of the gym, but you were still in prep mode, or still in, you know what I'm saying? Like
I still felt like some kind of obligation.
You were never in a mode where you didn't have to. You were never in a mode where you got to choose to.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
you forced yourself to show up when you did. You know what I'm saying? So you, in my opinion, like you didn't really have time off.
That's
you had time away, but you didn't necessarily have time off, which I think are two different things. Because you got to think, man, like you said, you know, you take a deload when you're 4 weeks out or something like that. Well, if all you're thinking about the whole time is like, crap, this is going to set me back, and then I have to be back in the gym then, and then I'm going to have to do this to make up. It never really went away.
Yeah.
You're just thinking about it more. It's just that anxiety circle around it, you know? So yeah, man, I mean, I think if you need some time off, there's really nothing wrong with that. And there's different, you know, modalities of movement that you could challenge, man. You know, you're talking about doing dirt bike riding. I don't know anything about that, but you never know.
So awesome.
That could be, I don't know, man. That's at the very minimum a way to do something that's off your feet and movement and outside. So start there.
And the mountain bike thing. As soon as I get that,
that's a huge one too.
Yeah, I really want to start just riding in the mornings.
Yeah.
You know, riding in the mornings, riding in the evenings. Maybe a couple days out of the week, ride to a trail, do the trail.
That could be a really good switch up for you too, because now you're talking about like a different environment and a totally different stimulus, right?
Yeah.
Going from weight training to cardio and then doing it outside, especially with it being summer now, you get some sunshine,
Yes,
you
man,
know?
yeah.
So yeah, man, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You definitely shouldn't feel like bad or wrong or anything
I do.
for that, you know? Yeah. But I think part of that is, man, because I can relate to that, you know, it's having done it for so long, it's kind of ingrained in like your personality and how people treat you and how people view you. Like, you know, we are both the token workout guy.
Yeah.
And we have been since high school.
Uh-huh.
You know, when we went to high school together, we weren't even really buddies or anything, but people would always ask me if I knew Chris Saldana because he was the other workout guy, or Chris Garcia at the time because he was the other workout guy, you know? And so it was just like, well, no, but the guy works out, so I'll probably like him, you know? Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, it's deep and ingrained in your personality, so you have to think when you question something that's that, like, age old to you, it's obviously going to throw you through a spin a little bit. You might even feel like guilty or wrong about it, you know?
Yeah.
When, man, when I was prepping for my first show, as a junior in high school, I was 17, and I wasn't Alex Martin the person, I was Alex Martin the bodybuilder. So it was like, you know, I told everybody how I was going to win, and my entire day revolved around my meals and my training and carrying around my gallon of water and, you know, taking 2 scoops of pre-workout and, you know what I mean? And it was almost like my identity. And then I got 6th of 6 at my show. And so it's like, well,
made you question your identity.
Yeah, man. If I can quantify my identity like that and then be told that I was last place and the worst, then you're going to question everything.
Yeah.
You know? So I can relate to that a little bit, man. It can be scary to, like, you know, take a step back.
And I know personally, I've never wanted to be like permanently known as, you know, the power lifter or, you know, the weightlifting guy. You know, since I was 18, I wanted to be the strongest teen that ever lived, do whatever it took, and then, you know, get back to 180 pounds at when I'm 25 years old.
Yeah.
And then go back into like cross country running or parkour, you know, something else like totally that. Different. Yeah, to just completely drop it. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm like reaching that point where, yeah, I just am starting to drift away from it.
Yeah, it could just be time for a change, man. Yeah. Which again, like, is obviously something like, obviously something scary, you know. But you have to think.
But like, I really like it. Like, I don't know. I've always liked like ideas of change. So I don't know. It's very intriguing to me, and it's like I feel it drawing me in.
Yeah. Well, and I would also argue that anything that like. Any change or stimulus that needs to happen should obviously come with some kind of discomfort or some sort of, maybe anxiety is the wrong word, but like, like you've been thinking about it so much and you feel a certain way about it probably because you know it's what you need, you know? I mean, I think I kind of compare it to like, you know, I've had several scenarios with clients who, you know, the first time that they contact me about coaching together, the personality, the demeanor is way different just because it's, well, number one, they're not comfortable. And number two, you have to be vulnerable and be willing to ask for help. But it's also one of those things that it's like, you know they need a change, but it's scary. Yeah. You know what I mean? Especially, you know, on the other side of the fence, going from someone who doesn't train to wanting to train because, you know, you watch the fucking shows like Biggest Loser where everyone's screaming and hardcore and beating the crap out of it.
So you just have this whole idea of what training is.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's always that. What I'm trying to get across is like I feel like any significant step or transformation or progression that happens comes with a level of like discomfort, or anxiety, or you know whatever. Anytime you hit any sort of PR in the gym, there was some sort of like oh shit feeling before that. You know what I mean? There was some sort of like uncertainty. So I feel like that's true with everything in life, man, and like that could be why you're feeling that uncertainty right now. Maybe you need a break, maybe you need a switch in goals, maybe something different. But burnout happens to everybody, man.
Yeah, and I think the uncertainty and all of that comes with, you know, the fact that you're changing. You know, you're like, I think of people and like I guess humans or whatever as almost like fluid, man. You know, you change throughout your whole life, 100%. And whenever you're, you know, changing into, you know, something else because of whatever, that feeling of uncertainty or whatever comes with, you know, you just evolving into the next thing, you know, that next, and you can resist it or you can go into it. But yeah, that's how I feel right now. So
I hear that, man. Yeah. It can be a scary process for sure. But I think burnout is something we all, you know, enjoy experience. I also think, you know, I like to use the analogy kind of like a train. As far as like your health or wellness and your fitness goes, it's like this continuous thing, man. Like it's always on the tracks, it's always running. It might be stopped for a little bit, but it's going to go again. Yes. You might have fallen off, but you just got to get back on it. And maybe that's a different way or a different form. You know, that doesn't necessarily have to be lifting or training, but you know, this is the train wheels are going to run forever, man. You got to do something physically active or something. It doesn't have to be the same thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be to the same degree, but it's got to keep rolling.
100%.
You know?
Yeah, I definitely believe that some kind of physical activity like is necessary for everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, man. And dude, it happens all the time. People lose, 100 pounds and gain back 20, and then they got to go lose their 20 again, and it's almost like it's harder the second time because the train stopped and they had to figure out how to get back on.
Yeah.
It happens to the best of us, man. I mean, gosh, dude, I'm trying to think. So when I started working out, man, I think I was like 180.
Okay.
And then I dieted my way down to 140, and then I got all the way up to 200. And then I dieted back to 150.
Wow.
And so I'm just saying, man, it's like and I'm much more constant and stable now just from habits and things like that. But where I'm trying to go with that, man, is this is like it's a forever thing, you know? And so it's okay. Like if you need whatever break.
Yeah. And you learn
grace for yourself.
Yeah. All of those up and downs, you take little bits of information for the next, task that you need to do.
And then you make it better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, all right, well, maybe squatting, benching, and deadlifting doesn't translate super well to dirt biking, but like, at least you have a very strong foundation and fucking tendons and ligaments that are made of steel, So it's like, I don't know, man, you could look at it in a multitude of different directions. But
if only I had a ab wall.
Yeah.
Feel it.
Yeah.
Made of steel.
An ab wall made of
I
steel.
I did for all these years. And then it's funny, as soon as I decide to chill.
Yep. It happens, man.
It happens.
It happens to the best of us. But, yeah, I don't know, dude. It's burnout is definitely a real thing, and for me, it's always goals that pull me out of it. Time and goals.
Time and goals. Yeah.
I would definitely be lying to not acknowledge that sometimes it's like you maybe need a week, maybe you need a month, maybe you need 6 months. Like it's different, and it's going to depend on who you are and what you need. But there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
So you could use that time to plan what you're going to do next, or get good at something else, or I don't know, read a ton of books. Something like
just
that.
like maybe dive into or explore something else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it seems like a good opportunity and a good time for you to do so.
I think so too.
So
one thing that I'm going to dive into, and I'm curious about your thoughts with it when it comes to still doing resistance training, is the mountain bike riding, and I guess just riding a bike in general, like not necessarily trail riding, but how would you program somebody who does that along with resistance training? Because I notice like my legs get really sore, and I guess that's also from dirt bike riding, but I'm guessing with, mountain bike riding, it'll be the same muscles.
It just depends. It always depends on goals and structure of everything. Like somebody who mountain bikes for like, 3 hours a day. Well, if we're training legs on a day, maybe that could be a day that we're not mountain biking, but maybe we got to work everything else around it. I think it's all case specific, so if somebody needs to do whatever, an hour and a half of cardio every week and they like mountain biking, well then I'll write their resistance training, and your cardio is go ride your mountain bike for an hour and a half, or half an hour 3 times a week or whatever that might be. But I think the biggest thing is just not trying to layer it too hard. So not trying to like mountain bike right before a squat session or something like that. I think that's the biggest thing. But no, man, you can do tons of like normal life activities in conjunction with having a consistent training routine, I think.
So what happens when like let's say I get this mountain bike and we do this programming, and for the first 2 weeks, I don't know, I adhere to an hour and a half of mountain biking a week, but then all of a sudden the next week I jump up to, just for this case, like I jump up to 4 hours a week.
Sure.
Or shit, maybe I do 4 hours one day, and then like it changes that quick. How would you work with that?
It's just gonna, like I said, it's just gonna depend. So like, is that 4 hours one day on like a on a leg day? Then that'd probably be like, okay, well, we got to get extra sleep tonight. We're gonna pump the carbs up a little bit, but it's gonna be like case specific, man. You had mentioned several times that you'd like to be significantly leaner, so it's like, all right, we'll go crazy with the mountain bike, man, and we can pull back on some resistance training. Like, if you're gonna be riding the bike like 4 hours a day every day or something crazy like that, well then, okay, we need to be sure your sleep is in a certain place. We need to be sure your calories are in a certain place, and your resistance training is in a certain place. So sleep has to be on point, calories have to be on point, and resistance training needs to be pretty low volume just to give you a chance to recover from everything else that you're doing.
Got you.
So, but no, man, you should. I really encourage people to like do whatever makes fitness easiest for them. So if for you that's mountain biking, or for someone else that's walking the dog,
I've never
or
thought
someone
of
else
this
that's
like
swimming,
yeah.
like, yeah, it's like, dude, that to me, that is so much simpler or enjoyable or adherable than me being like, treadmill, 3-speed, 10 incline, 10 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and not that there's anything wrong with the treadmill. If that's what you like, that's what I do. But it's just one of those things, or walk the dog. But it's just one of those things where it's like, it doesn't need to be this, like, I just don't think the picture perfect like program exists. You know, are you going to be able to become, you know, the strongest MF on the block if you're riding your mountain bike 4 hours a day? Probably not. But do you need to be the strongest guy on the block? Only if you want to be.
Yeah.
Well, then you give up the mountain biking. But it's like, you probably don't have to. It just depends on who you are, you know? So some people, I mean, I got a client who used to like to play tennis. I mean, I got a client who likes to run because she's crazy. Like, you know, so people have their own different modalities, but, you know, I think all of it is pretty much mergeable given the right circumstances.
Yeah, I guess I've never had this mentality of freedom with training. You know, it's always been like, okay, training has to take a huge priority and you have to, you know, do this, and that. And so the idea of not doing it is just like, well, am I supposed to do it? Hey, Alex, I need more.
Yeah. See, man, it's funny that you say that, because to me, like, a training for me has always been freedom. It's like, oh, I can do whatever I want, however much I want, to whatever extent I want. I just need to maybe adjust some different things to get the result I want.
That's what I want.
You know?
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, obviously I don't wing it. You know, I got a plan and everything I'm doing, but it all fits within the plan.
Yeah.
So I don't know, all that to say, like, you know, man, I mowed the front yard this morning. I'm probably going to go train whenever we're done podcasting. Then I'm going to mow the backyard this evening. And it's not going to change anything, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess that's my thing, is it's just like, I think I would consider that maybe not overthinking. You know, it's definitely an important thing to think about if you're overdoing things outside of the gym. But
see, but in my mind, like, if I was
that's
in
a paralysis by analysis thing, I think, man.
Yeah, if I was in that situation in my mind, I would be like, well, I can't mow the lawn because I have to train. And if I mow the lawn, I'm going to be weaker in training. So I'll have to mow the lawn another day.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was restricting. So
yeah, 100%, man. So I don't know. I think it's, to me, like, if you like mountain biking and that's enjoyable to you, then that's what you're going to do more often easily. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be easier for me to ask you to mountain bike more than to ask you to whatever, do the Stairmaster more or do the elliptical more. Yeah. I mean, everybody's got their thing, dude.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, so I guess that's, for me, that's really what it comes down to, is like, the base of all of this BS, man, is adherence. Like, if you set yourself up in a way that you can, like, stick to the plan and adhere to the plan, everything else follows relatively easily. But, you know, keeping that plan actually adherable. Yeah, it has to be the baseline. Yeah. Because if you can't actually do it, or if it's asking too much, then everything else falls apart. There's no foundation there. It's like, if I'm asking you for whatever, you know, the Stairmaster 20 minutes a day, 7 days a week, and you just told me you hated it, well, maybe you'll do it for like a week, but then what happens after that, man? You're sick of it. Yeah. And then I think that you're getting, 140 minutes of intense cardio every week, and you're not getting any of it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's one of those things, man, that, like, you got to be flexible and know how to work those parameters
in order to adhere. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, man, I don't, like, sure, maybe if you're mountain biking like 4 hours a day, it would affect like your sessions. Yeah. But that's like, that's an excess. You know? That's you don't have 4 hours a day to mountain bike. You know what I mean? So that's, I think that's important to keep in mind. So, yeah.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah. So the burnout is normal, man. I think it happens to the best of us. It happens to everybody, you know, and take your time off, do something different. You know, I think some people get to that point due to lack of progress. And, you know, in those scenarios, I think you really have to take a step back and look at everything you're doing and take an honest assessment.
Instead of beating yourself up and asking yourself, like, why you're feeling burnt out and is there something wrong with me?
Yeah, take an honest assessment, man. Well, and I also think some people, I don't mean this in a bad way, because everybody operates like at their own capacity or speed or whatever you want to call it. But some people, you know, will say that they're trying as hard as they can to lose weight, and they're not really tracking. They're not really doing cardio every day. Yeah. They're, you know, eating whatever they want on Saturday, Sunday. But to them, that's like trying as hard as they can, you know, or they feel like they're trying as hard as they can. It's like, and so that could lead to burnout, right? That you think you're trying as hard as you can, but you're not getting anywhere. But, you know, if you can take that step back and try to be honest and accurate with yourself and be like, well, I'm not really tracking everything that I eat. Well, I'm not really, walking every day. Well,
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday, I don't really pay attention to what I'm eating. So it's like, if you can take a step back and look at those things, you can, set yourself a plan that will hopefully get you away from that burnout and get you moving. So that's kind of a tangent, but I think that's another way that people land on burnout is doing the same thing over and over and not getting a different result.
Yeah, just having, expectations for something and then, just not getting them and just questioning, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Why the hell am I not getting this?
100%. Yeah. And then that's, people feel like they're banging their head against the wall, not getting anywhere. So. And
hopefully, those people don't put too much on their plate, because that's what it sounded like when you were just giving that example. It sounded like just a lot on their plate and then try really hard on all of it.
Yeah.
Maybe you can try hard on, a couple things that are the most important.
Yeah, just figure out little steps that you could do a little bit better.
Yeah, 100%.
Let them add up over time. So, cool. All right, let's wrap this one up there. Peace.